Welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, today we are decoding something that is literally a master blueprint. It's titled Project PHAB, the architect's schema of the universe, and it focuses heavily on mathematical biomimetics and aesthetic resonance. And I mean, this is a real blueprint. It's got that signature format you'd expect from architectural drawings, right? Crisp blue lines printed on a cream grid background. You've got a clear header indicating the project title, the designer's names, F. Edouard Aim and Jean-Claude Perez, the scale, a version number, and the date, May 2026. Down below, data blocks map out system specifications, and there's a highly precise legend describing the symbols to avoid any ambiguity. But here's the kicker. This isn't a plan for a building, it's a schematic that combines complex engineering and biomimicry to map the underlying architecture of reality itself.
Right out of the gate, the designers hit us with this absolutely profound concept. Matter carries the lock, antimatter carries the key. Between them stands the Perez Hourglass. Just think about that for a second. We're talking about a fundamental structure where opposites don't just, completely annihilate each other in some massive flash of energy. Instead, they actually communicate. They form a bridge.
So here's our master legend for today. 1. The master schema. 2. Anatomy of the hourglass. 3. Decoding aesthetic resonance. 4. Biology and chemistry united. 5. Futuristic biomimetic technology. And 6. Testing the blueprint. Let's get right to it.
Section 1. The Master Schema.
We have to start with the foundational shape of this whole thing. It's a geometric form that basically acts as a bridge, spanning literally 5 millennia of human mathematical discovery. It takes the 3000 BCE Sumerian sexagesimal system, Pingle is binary precity from 200 BCE, Pascal's triangle from the 1600s, and Sierpinski fractals from 1915, and funnels all of them into one single unified geometric object. The claim here is that these aren't just parallel discoveries. No, they are the exact same architecture, just viewed through different mathematical lenses across time. And that grand architecture is what they call the Perez Hourglass.
Section 2. Anatomy of the hourglass. To really wrap our heads around how this blueprint works as an engine of the universe, we have to look at how this mathematical hourglass actually breathes. It operates on this perfectly elegant duality. The top half, the northern hemisphere, basically inhales through additive, expansive growth. Think Pascal's triangle and Fibonacci sequences. But then the southern hemisphere exhales through subtractive compression. It maps perfectly to scale-free fractal branching like lightning strikes or neural dendrites in the human brain, which are known as Lichtenberg figures.
And this is where we see the actual engine of life in motion. See, a perfect 360-degree circle is completely flat and mechanically inert. Nothing happens. But nature introduces what the designers term a -1 degree deficit. So, every real biological angle equals its ideal counterpart but minus exactly 1 degree. This results in a 17-degree offset, which acts as mechanical play. It's this exact tiny imperfection that prevents static closure and basically forces the geometry to pop out into three-dimensional living biological form. It's brilliant when you think about it.
Moving on to Section 3, Decoding Aesthetic Resonance.
So we've got the pure geometry down. But how does this translate into what we actually experience as beauty? Well, it all comes down to a very specific number, 432. According to the specs, 432 Hz is the precise acoustic lock and key for human brainwaves. It's the exact frequency where our internal biological patterns perfectly align with external resonant keys.
What this means is that spaces like ancient Gothic cathedrals weren't just designed to look awe-inspiring. The blueprint actually frames them as literal neuroacoustic interfaces. The geometry of the stone itself is engineered to convert melodic lines into standing waves centered exactly on that 432 Hz diapason coupling field. It's basically a giant tuning fork for the human mind. So when you hear Gregorian chants or Tibetan bowls hitting those precise theta frequencies, they are directly activating this innate mathematical lock in our biology. That's what gives us that profound sensation of sacred resonance.
Section 4, Biology and Chemistry United. But hold on, because this master blueprint goes way deeper than architecture and sound. It dictates the fundamental building blocks of matter itself. Here, Mendele's periodic table and the DNA genetic code are presented as two floors of the exact same mathematical building. The blueprint claims that biologically critical elements, carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, hydrogen, project perfectly onto a golden ratio harmonic grid derived straight from the hourglass geometry. Chemistry and biology aren't just related here, they are structural siblings.
This all culminates in what the schema calls Theorem 8, or the compression law. And it answers a massive biological question. Why do we have exactly 64 DNA codons that encode exactly 20 amino acids plus one stop signal, making 21 functional meanings? Well, because 64 plus 21 equals 85. That perfectly balances the mathematical scales under the exact logic of the hourglass. Life literally landed on the precise scale that this geometry permits. No accidents here.
Let's check out Section 5, Futuristic Biomimetic Technology.
So why does all of this matter to us right now? Because once we understand these natural laws, we can totally reverse engineer them for next-generation tech. The designers provide exact specifications for our future right here. For instance, DNA's natural error correction translates into post-quantum cryptography with an infinite non-repeating address space. DNA replication logic gives us noise-resilient AI memory that can still retrieve data even if it's 40% corrupted. And natural plant packing geometry? That gives us what they call the golden drive for building ultra-efficient solar and antenna arrays.
But honestly, the most stunning application on the entire schematic is the idea of a 377-qubit quantum processor utilizing native hourglass symmetries. Right now, quantum computers are incredibly fragile. They require absolute zero cryogenic cooling just to keep the system from falling apart. But think about it. Our DNA already runs a perfectly stable, warm quantum field at 37 degrees Celsius. By applying this biomimetic architecture, the blueprint points directly toward room temperature, fault-tolerant quantum computing. It is literally breaking us out of the cryogenic ice block constraints of classical physics. A real game changer.
Section 6, Testing the Blueprint.
Now, we all know any scientific theory is only as good as its verifiability, right? The designers of Project FAB knew this too. This isn't just some abstract philosophy. It actually provides falsifiable testing vectors. Step 1 is measuring aesthetic resonance using EEG coherence during artistic exposure. Step 2 involves testing individual genomic variants, specifically looking at DUF1220 sequences on human chromosome 1, which are the genes directly tied to human brain evolution. And step 3 is temporal validation, which is literally predicting the optimal duration of human rituals and ceremonies across different cultures using this exact math.
These testing protocols outline exactly how this physical theory can be empirically validated right now. We don't need to wait for science fiction tech to test it. We can use our existing scientific, acoustic, and medical tools to measure these inputs and outputs today, quantifying the aesthetic coupling constant in real time.
Which brings us all the way back to the core of the hourglass. At its waist, at the exact 1-degree interval where human chromosomes meet this golden ratio, matter and antimatter enter into a dialogue. They don't destroy one another. Their interaction, perfectly governed by this 1-degree gap, creates the ultimate structural order that the universe calls beautiful.
And that leaves us with one incredibly provocative final thought for this explainer. If we finally hold the master architect's schema of the universe in our hands, a verifiable mathematical blueprint of reality, what unimaginable new realities and technologies are we going to construct next? I highly encourage you to look deeper into the PHAB project schematics. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.